Hi guys, it's JoINrbs here, and today I'm looking at late game sharpshooters. This is episode 9 of my 24-part series where I'm spending 3 20 or so minute chunks looking at the early, mid, and late game of each of the 8 major classes in Long War II. And of course, we're looking at alpha strike rating and breakdown rating, how good a soldier is at killing stuff versus how good a soldier is at performing well when the enemies are upon you and attacking you and wounding you and psi attacking you and all that good fun stuff. So, in the early game sharpshooter video, I said that they were quite weak. They aren't very good at killing stuff. They aren't all that good when things fall apart. If you want a strong sharpshooter at the beginning of the game, though, I think Snapshot, Center Mass, and Lone Wolf is a great way to start. That's going to give you a very, very strong soldier quite early in the campaign. Typically, that's not how I would build them because I'm looking more for mid and late game power out of this soldier. In the mid game video, I said that they got somewhat better at alpha striking, but remained pretty poor in breakdowns, and the late game rating for the sharpshooter, in my opinion, exacerbates that further. I'm giving this class an 8 out of 10 for alpha striking and a 4 out of 10 for breakdowns. I think about late game sharpshooters sort of like a damage-based carry in, MOBA or something like that, where you're trying to funnel all of the damage that you can onto this soldier. You're going to give them great weapon attachments. You're not going to require them to use defensive consumables. You want them to have like fun bullets and stuff. You don't want them to have defensive PCS. You want like an aim PCS or depth perception PCS. You may want to support them with soldiers who are destroying cover for them, or a different sharpshooter who is hollow targeting for them, or something like that. And you end up with a soldier who is going to take a position with eyes all over the battlefield and kill the most important target every turn very reliably, and sometimes do something even more impressive than that. So that's the idea that I'm looking for in my late game sharpshooters. There is, of course, flexibility there. There's the hollow targeting build, there's the snapshot build, and I'll mention those as we're working through the perks. But for right now, if you're thinking about like a regular depth from above or hollow target hybrid build, like the one we're building right now, that's probably what you want to do. I've already taken the perks, so I'm sort of spoiling what I'm going to pick, but let's talk through each of the tiers, and I'll explain why I took Hunter's Instincts here and Serial at Master Sergeant, and when I would take other perks. And yeah, sorry if the suspense has been broken for you. At Gunnery Sergeant, we're picking between Kubik, multi-targeting, and Hunter's Instincts, and I think the weakest of these perks is multi-targeting. You may hollow target multiple enemies with a 2-turn cooldown. Yay, whatever that means. So multi-targeting ends your turn, even if you took rapid targeting. A lot of the allure of hollow targeting build is that you can rapid target something and shoot it, and that's valuable. But multi-targeting hedges you into using your entire turn in order to hollow target, and you don't get to shoot anymore, which is a large opportunity cost, because even if your sharpshooter has literally no perks, he still gets 28 aim from level progression, has high base damage on his weapon, and has squad sight. So giving up a shot is sort of a sucky thing to do. The exciting thing that you can do with multi-targeting, the most exciting thing you can do with it, is to multi-target a pod which hasn't pulled yet while you're out of combat. That way you're not giving up a shot for the turn because you weren't planning to shoot anyway, and you're getting that AoE on a pod which is clustered up, so you may be hitting like 8 enemies with hollow target all at once. And because of that, like best case scenario, I gave this 6 out of 10 for alpha striking, because it's easy to see how that's really strong. If the pod then patrols into your overwatches and all of them have plus 15 aim against them, that's going to deal a lot of extra damage. It's a bit of a force multiplier. However, a lot of the allure of taking rapid targeting to begin with is that it lets you hollow target 3 times in a turn. So even if you didn't have multi-targeting and you saw that pod of 8, you can already pick out the 3 most important enemies in it and hollow target them. And there are very few pods in this game where every single one of the 8 enemies actually matters. So as long as you're hollow targeting the 3 most important ones, you're you're pretty good already. And this is in like the crazy best case scenario for multi-targeting, where you have this pot of 8 and you're targeting all of them at once. Most of the time you don't have that situation, and multi-targeting may just straight up not be doing anything better at all than just holo targeting twice individually would have done on the turn. And so it's a very limited perk in where it's actually applicable. And because of that, I'm not even taking it on this hybrid holo targeter. And if I were building a dedicated holo targeter, I probably still don't take it, even if I took high definition holo. The other perks here are just a little bit better. I gave it 2 out of 10 in breakdowns because I really don't want to be ending my turn to multi-target in a breakdown. Presumably in a breakdown, enemies are going to be pretty spread out, or else like you're already pretty golden because you just sting grenade them or area suppress them or something. And yeah, like multi-targeting is just sort of unlikely to be what I want to do with one of my soldiers with extremely high aim and damage. So multi-targeting, not so much. Hunter's Instincts, I gave 7 out of 10 for alpha striking, 3 out of 10 for breakdowns. If you have Snapshot, you can get more leverage out of this in breakdowns for sure, because you can actually generate your own flanks. But range attacks against flanked enemies dealing +2 damage is typically not going to be so great unless somebody's able to coordinate to set up the sharpshooter for the shots. This will deal +2 damage against enemies if you've removed cover from them. So if they're just like standing in the open, it's dealing +2 damage. But it doesn't deal +2 damage against enemies which wouldn't want to take cover anyway. So it doesn't deal extra damage against mechs, it doesn't deal extra damage against chrysalids. I'm pretty sure it doesn't. It's not dealing quite as much damage as you might think it would if you assumed that it was dealing extra damage to something like a mech or a drone, which it's not. And because of that, I think you can definitely justify taking Kubik at Gunnery Sergeant. I rated that 7 out of 10 for alpha striking and 3 out of 10 for breakdown, so exactly the same rating as Hunter's Instincts. And if you are able to get really good crit on your sharpshooter, if you have, say, Death from Above to enable you to regularly use an elite stock, if you have aggression, which this sharpshooter doesn't have, of course, if you have either high definition holo on this sharpshooter with rapid targeting or a different sharpshooter on the mission with high definition holo for you, you can quickly approach and even surpass 100% crit chance. There are AWC perks which can bump up your crit chance a little bit as well. And so you can be looking at, with Kubik, any critical hit against an already wounded enemy will kill it outright. You can be looking at, dealing 90 plus damage to a sectopod with one action and having 90% plus success rate using Kubik. Now, realistically in a campaign, you're gonna fight like 3 sectopods or something. It's not like that's gonna come up an awfully large number of times. And when you do fight them, a lot of the time you can just kill them some other way pretty easily. Like cyclic fire works pretty well, for example, on a gunner. Kubik actually has pretty good value just against like regular tier 3 enemies though. If you're shooting at something with 25 to 30 health, you're probably not going to kill it with a regular sniper rifle shot, but Kubik may well have a very good chance to do so, and that's just going to deal like an extra 8 damage or something. And an extra 8 damage off a Gunnery Sergeant perk ain't so bad, really. Ain't so bad at all. So, definitely you can pick up Kubik. I'd actually err more toward Kubik on most of my sharpshooters in this iteration of the game and take Hunter's Instincts a little bit less, but I think you can go for both. And this is an interesting point to make again about sharpshooters. You're often going to want multiple sharpshooters on a mission, and because they have ideally great vision of all the enemies on the map and are trying to pick the most important targets, having sharpshooters who can deal with different problems is really nice. So if you have a Hunter's Instincts sharpshooter who's then probably building into serial, who can mop up 4 rank and file troops who, would have been able to shoot a rocket or suppress you or maybe incendiary grenade you if they were left alive, that's a really valuable tool to have. And then if you have another sharpshooter who can one-shot a sectopod, hey, that could be pretty cool too. So diversifying your sharpshooter builds is quite valuable, especially in the like really big end game, long untimed missions, which is really where sharpshooters thrive in general. Even in the end game, like a reason that they're not 10 out of 10 for alpha striking is that on guerrilla operations or retaliations where there's more time pressure and more room for things to suddenly go wrong, it can be sort of tough to set sharpshooters up. But on the untimed missions, they're great, and I think you're well served having a variety of them. So yeah, we can take Kubik or Hunter's Instincts at this tier, basically. And at Master Sergeant, we're picking between 3 extremely strong perks: Double Tap, Alpha Mike Foxtrot, and Serial. All of these are very, very good. Alpha Mike Foxtrot is the worst of these by far, and it deals 4 additional points of damage with your base weapon when you hit stuff with your, like, 4. Like, I've been consistently rating Center Mass 7 out of 10 for alpha striking in this series so far. And this deals 4 times as much damage as it, and I also rated it 7 out of 10 for alpha striking. So I'll let you try to work out why that happened. I give it 7 out of 10 for breakdowns as well, because it's nice to reliably be able to kill a single target in those situations without having to need cooldowns, which Serial and Double Tap are both cooldowns. And Alpha Mike Foxtrot is somewhat okay with Snapshot, although there's not really any situation I actually would put this on a sharpshooter. I'm pretty much always taking Serial and Double Tap. The reasons that this is only a 7 out of 10, despite it being, you know, sort of better than Center Mass, I think there are like 4 of them. Let's see how many I can remember. One is that it's not really getting multiplied, this damage. A lot of the soldiers who take Center Mass, in fact, I'm pretty sure all of them, have ways to shoot I think they have ways to shoot at least 4 times a turn, the soldiers who take Center Mass. I guess not Grenadiers, but in general, they can shoot a lot more than 1 time a turn. And Center Mass also applies to pistols, so if you train pistols on one of those soldiers, you're getting +1 damage in all of your pistol shots, and you can shoot like 6 times a turn with a pistol really easily, and that's like, you're not even trying yet. You can make that number go really high. Alpha Mike Foxtrot doesn't help on pistols whatsoever. It's a Master Sergeant perk, so we're sort of expecting more from it to begin with. I don't know what the 4th one was. The main thing is that you only really get to shoot once with the sniper rifle per turn, and so it's only really adding 4 damage per turn, and that's just not that much. It also has anti-synergy with Kubik, because if you're one-shotting a sectopod, you don't need to also deal another 4 damage afterward. Like, the 4 damage doesn't go anywhere. You might ruin somebody's garden with, like, the overkill, but you're not getting any reward that actually makes your game more likely to be won, unfortunately. So, Alpha Mike Foxtrot, very strong ability. Wouldn't really ever pick it. Double Tap, I rated 8 out of 10. For alpha striking, 5 out of 10 for breakdowns. This is a little bit of an inflexible perk. It lets you shoot twice in a turn, basically, and you can use precision shot, you can use Kubik, and you can overwatch as well with your extra shot. And it has a 1-turn cooldown, so you can do this every other turn. It has a pretty obvious anti-synergy with Snapshot, because Snapshot is a build which is trying to trade the first action of the turn to let you move. You don't get to... Am I wrong? I think I'm wrong, actually. I think it's fine with Snapshot because... Okay, I've never built a double tap Snapshot sharpshooter. I think that actually you could move, activate double tap, and shoot twice. So probably it's fine, but I don't know. I've never arrived at that situation, and I don't really see why you would, because I think generally Serial is going to be better there. Yeah, like, it's a good perk. A couple of things to note here are, 1, a perk that's on a cooldown for every other turn, like this one, is going to be better than it is on average. So it's not like you're getting 1.5 shots a turn out of this. you're getting 2 shots on the most important turn, because the first turn of combat is always the most important turn of combat, basically. And you're getting 1 shot for the cleanup turn, usually. Usually the second turn of combat, you've either wiped the pod or you're just dealing with stragglers already. And so it doesn't really matter that it's on cooldown the second turn, because you probably already got all you needed out of it on the first turn. It's a little bit of an awkward perk because you're relying on like having 2 valuable shots with your sharpshooter. It's a very good problem to have. But it can be a little bit of extra work to try to set up exactly 2 shots with your sharpshooter. If you think about a lot of the situations where you'd shoot a lot with a sharpshooter who can see everywhere, a lot of the time you're like blowing up everything's cover with a bunker buster or something like that, or you've pulled lots and lots of enemies and they're all over the place. A lot of the time that's why you want your sharpshooter to be shooting lots of times per turn, because typically dealing with 1 problem a turn is already strong enough from squad sight range most of the time. And so I don't know, shooting twice with a sharpshooter is this slightly awkward middle ground where it's there's definitely marginal utility on how many shots your sharpshooter takes. The first shot's definitely the most valuable, the second one's somewhat valuable, the third one's considerably less valuable than that, and so on. I don't know. I'm about to argue that Serial's really good because it lets you take lots of shots, and I'm sort of shooting myself in the foot, but yeah, I would typically take double tap on like a death from above sharpshooter with Kubik and be quite happy with it, and I think you definitely want double taps on your roster. Serial I rated 9 out of 10 for alpha striking and 7 out of 10 for breakdowns, and this is a perk that I'm generally more excited about. It's a perk that's able to really clearly do something extra that the sharpshooter couldn't already do. Double tap is like, yeah, I deal reliable damage from long range and I kill lots of stuff. That's cool. Serial is like, if we just theoretically like made a move so bad that we might have lost the campaign, I might just be able to kill all of the enemies with 1 soldier actually, and we're completely fine. Serial is a very complicated perk. You activate it, and then once you've activated, every shot with your sniper rifle for that turn gets its actions refunded, but you're also dealing 1 less damage on future shots, and you have lower crit chance on future shots, and that's cumulative, so your shots become less and less powerful. You can use autoloaders with this. You can use expanded magazines with this. Note that if you're going to like equip both an autoloader and an expanded magazine, you're starting to run into problems with taking off very valuable weapon mods. You're going to have to lose either your stock or your scope / laser sight. So that's sort of a nasty thing to give up. But with like an elite autoloader, you can already get 12 shots off with Serial, which, given that you're losing 1 damage per turn, you're probably not getting 12 kills with this. Serial has synergies with soldiers who are going to support Serial being good. So you're looking for soldiers who are very good at giving the sharpshooter easy shots to hit while leaving enemies on, low hit points. So a consumable like a bunker buster is an extremely good example because it deals some damage to enemies and uncovers them. And there are other very nice synergies. Face Off, if you have like an assault with the pistol perk Face Off, which lets the assault shoot at every enemy in vision with the pistol. If you go Bunker Buster, and then some of the enemies won't be low enough to die to Serial yet, but you can Face Off with the assault, and now probably your sharpshooter has a 100% chance to kill on the highest health enemy. And once you've got that one, you'll kill the next one, the next one, the next one, the next one, and so on. So Serial is just a very, very nice perk. It's on a 6-turn cooldown, but you realistically don't have to use it more than once in a mission. And even if you only get 2 kills with this and take a 3rd shot on the turn, it's already probably good enough to equal double tap's value on like a regular guerrilla operation sort of mission. And then I think it has more potential upside on the very, very long untimed missions as well, because there will sometimes be that critical turn where you really need huge output from the sharpshooter. That said, I didn't rate it that much better than double tap, and I've already said that I would take some sharpshooters with double tap for sure. Serial has nice synergies with Hunter's Instincts. Double tap has nice synergies with Kubik, Death from Above, stuff like that. So, you know, sharpshooters are a nice class to diversify on, and you're just looking for the little micro synergies in the tree, because most of these perks deal more damage. And some of them deal more damage in sort of an interesting way, but when it comes back around and you're thinking about what it actually does, it's basically just dealing more damage. And so when you're picking between two perks which are similar strength and both deal more damage, it's hard to argue very convincingly that one's better than the other. It's more about making sure that your build is making some amount of consistent sense, like the way that I took rapid targeting, and because of that I took vital point targeting, because I think that will be strong, and because I hadn't taken aggression, I didn't want to take Kubik, so I took Hunter's Instincts, and then because I had Hunter's Instincts, I decided this would be a sharpshooter who I took Serial on, because Hunter's Instincts makes it a little bit easier to kill a lot of rank and file enemies in one turn. So, that's sharpshooters. Sharpshooters are one of my favorite classes, great for dealing damage. They're also very inflexible, hard to utilize fully, and even in late game where they're excelling, there are going to be some missions which they just aren't that great on because you can't get the right line of sight. You may not be able to get height advantage on them, but be relying on Death from Above to really unlock their strength. Stuff like that. I usually have 2 to 3 sharpshooters in a campaign who have really nice aim, who don't take wounds early, and who just take off and get tons and tons and tons of kills. They're always being deployed safely on missions so they don't get wounded, and they'll hit Master Sergeant pretty early, continue to get tons and tons of kills, and just carry a full campaign. I haven't talked about AWCs with sharpshooters because of their high aim and the fact that they're so inflexible regularly. They make pretty appealing soldiers to train pistol perks on. They do pick up center mass, so they are getting +1 damage when using guns if you've done that, so that's pretty nice with pistol perks. They're also fine to not train stuff on though, and it's really sort of nice to be sending them out on missions over and over again. They make pretty good officers as well, again because they're inflexible, and giving them officer perks gives them something to do on turns where their sniper rifle doesn't really work. But again, it's sort of a pain to put them in training because it's really nice to just pile experience onto these guys. They're soldiers which are reliably not getting wounded, and because of that, they're soldiers who can become the highest level damage dealers in your barracks pretty consistently. Alright, my voice is going, and I've talked about sharpshooters a lot. So, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please let me know in the comments any comments or questions that you have. I'm going to try to do another pass on all of the classes where I sort of answer the best questions and comments from each video. And yeah, just expand on what I've said in the first 3 episodes. I'll do that after I'm done with the 8 classes, probably. We'll work it out. I don't know. For now, though, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys tomorrow with another class review. JoINrbs out.